I'd like to make one comment here. So far, just looking at the seating assignments, I think Daniel Guerrero pulled a bad seating draw. He has the second big stack sitting to his left. That could be a problem for him.
Knocking in an ace-8 suited. Queen Jack for Forrest.
2 points.
Well, Christie flops a flush, but Ted has flopped a higher flush draw, so he's going to call her $2,000 bet. Looks like $2,500 bet, excuse me. 9,200 in the pot.
King clubs.
Christie continues with a $9,000 bet. That's about a pot-sized bet. That might be enough to lose Ted. Yeah, Ted folds his hand wisely. First pot goes to Christie Gazes.
Very good pot for her.
Oh, don't do the wave. No.
18,200 in that pot. Before we go any further, let's talk a little bit, Howard, about this is our second hand. Remember, the chip count carries over from this morning's competition.
Sounds nice.
Yep, and as we said earlier, John D'Agostino on the short stack, definitely looking for his first playable hand to play aggressively. We Phil Gordon on the button. The 3 high, he's going to lay it down. We're down to the blinds now.
Cool.
Christie with a 7-4 of hearts. He's going to limp in. John has not looked at his cards until just now.
Queen Jack.
Yeah, it's not a bad starting hand, and he's just in the blinds with, so he's actually got position from the big blind. This is not bad for the short stack.
I looked at him like 4 times already.
You check? I check. Okay.
Choose 4 king on the flop.
Checked and allowed Christie to flop the best hand with a pair of 4s. See what he does here. John checks it.
22.
Christie bets the best hand. Kings and 4s. And John has to get out of the way there.
First 2 hands to Christie Gazes.
Thank you.
Button here. John's in the small blind. Comes first stack. Opens the action with king, queen. Oh, she just called.
Call. Head up.
Forrest and Gowan in this one.
Ted was in the big blind and just checked.
Check.
Some tentative play here early. Ted senses a weakness. And he may be, wow. He's picked up this pot. This is an amazing call by Cloney. She has the best hand. She called 4,000 on the turn, and Ted continues to fire 6,000 more. $12,000 pot and picks
she
it up.
threw it away.
Very nice play by Ted there. He felt the weakness, even though she called. He felt like another bet. Maybe he felt like she made a 5 on the turn, and another bet would pick it up, and he was right. Put in another blind so he can be a little bit patient. He has position. Cloney and Ted are the blinds.
Raise. 36.
Now we see here Phil decides to play the king-queen a little differently than Cloney. He is opening for a raise, and judging by the cards out against him, he's probably going to pick up the blinds here. Here shows how good solid aggression with a solid hand picks up the blinds and antes. You don't give your opponent a chance to bluff at you later if you miss.
Yes, I am. Thank you, Matt.
First position here is Phil Gordon. Daniel Negreanu.
12-3.
All in.
Well, there's John D'Agostino.
Aye, aye, aye.
Well, he's picked up kind of a middling hand here, but he's desperate to pick up some blinds. He's just hoping he doesn't get called, and it looks like he will pick up the blinds. Yeah.
And he'll take it,
Very
so
nice.
he manages to get through to at least another hand.
that one, huh?
Didn't make a whole lot of money, but he lives to play another day. Nobody.
We saw him on his first televised final table. This is his fourth televised final table. He's only 22. Obviously has a very bright future in this game, a tremendously talented player. Christie's limping in with a small pocket pair of sixes. This is probably the kind of hand D'Agostino might push with.
15-1.
All in.
Ah.
It's going to be a tough call for Christie with a small pair. But given his short stack, this is the kind of situation where a small pair may look you up, and he may be in a raise here. Well, Phil picked up a pair of nines, so he's definitely calling the
I was
raise.
going to do that if you didn't.
Uh-oh.
But this isn't too bad with the king-queen to actually get in a race. He's not up against ace-king or ace-king or even an ace-jack.
You didn't do it. I wouldn't.
He's about a 50-50.
You got 2 sixes?
Yeah.
That's very fair.
Very fair. It's very fair.
You had a 9?
19.
Oh, well, that's fair, too.
That about makes it 50-50, right?
That's a good. That's good.
You know.
Yep, John, you're
No,
right.
it
You're
hurts a lot more.
49%.
It hurts him way more.
Now the
Like
flop.
at least 5% more.
Yeah.
I'll bet you that. We could bet that for 20,000.
That's for sure.
I don't
Low ball.
sir.
Oh, that looked like a paint, the first card.
Where's my six?
Oh, very
I had two
close.
sixes.
Ace-jack 6, and there's the 6.
Yeah.
Christie would have
I
flopped
don't
a
like my
set, and she
chances.
might very well
don't
may
like-
have
I don't like
called
my
if
chances.
Phil
Nine.
hadn't
That flop
called.
actually hit me too.
But John still has a pretty good chance to win this pot. A king, a queen, or a 10, and there's the 10. The hand is now over. John D'Agostino,
15-1.
ace high straight. He's going to win the hand and double up. His early strategy is working out. This is what he wanted to do. He needed the early double up.
Boy, and he got it. And I remember the last time we saw him, dating back a year to Turningstone, back in upstate
That's
New York.
fair.
Very similar a couple of times.
What are you going to do?
Yeah, well,
Forget
you know,
about it.
I mean, to win these poker tournaments, you are going to need to win
Now
a
we
few
can
of
play
these
poker.
50-50s. He knew it going in. He was just happy to be in a 50-50 race with a hand like king-queen. He won the hand, and he's got over 30,000 in chips. He can actually play some poker now, as he said.
You
in
don't,
his
no, you do
voiceover
bust
earlier.
them. I don't.
Yeah, yeah.
And you don't want to be the first out, too. No money.
Yeah, but this is the first time I think on TV we've had a no money 6th place bubble position on TV. But actually, you know, the difference between 6th and 5th is the same as 5th and 4th. So there's something emotional about getting 0 back, but really
He's hiding. That's not
it's not
fair.
much difference. But you know, like moving up each spot isn't that big a deal until you get to 2nd and 1st.
Daniel Negreanu has been an observer for the most part, and still will.
Too late. Too late to make a play.
World record for him.
Daniel throwing away the queen 8. That's the kind of hand he may have looked to play. Ted playing very aggressively here early. He's already bluffed the pot from Cloney Gown. He just opened the pot with a king deuce. Not a very strong hand, but I think he feels that the other players may be playing tentatively here early. He's going to take. And we've got Christie and John in the blinds. Ted will be first to act. The button's on Phil Gordon. A couple of folds to Daniel. This is probably a spot where Daniel may open any 2 cards right now. No, he throws away as a 9-4. Gordon throwing away the jack-8 on the button. That's a little tight, but it was a good play. As you can see, D'Agostino would have probably re-raised from the big blind with ace-queen. Expecting a raise here and probably a win of the pot from D'Agostino.
35 more.
3,500 more. As you said.
Pick it up. Things are going well for D'Agostino here early. He's probably
Sure.
built his chips up
Yeah, he's
to
not.
35,000.
Go, Daniel.
But it's moving.
Still may be the short stack, but in much better shape than he
It's
started.
moving.
No, no.
Okay.
That's right.
No, that's
there.
right. That's right.
All right.
That's right. I wouldn't play
So
that
they
hand
shuffle
if it
over
wasn't
there?
for that.
That is super
Ted will now
cool.
be the big blind.
Small and big guys.
Cloney will be first stack.
They're big, tough.
Well, this is a pretty solid hand for D'Agostino.
Yeah.
He
Option.
just limps in though. Ted checks.
6 ace.
Check, check.
Check, check. On the 4th Street, this is one of these pots. You have to see who wants this pot.
3. Now let's see.
4,000.
And Ted says that he wants the pot. You notice here, John has the best hand. I can't see how he can call. No.
Queen high?
And Ted
Yeah,
now
queen
bluffs
high?
his second
That's pretty
pot in
sick.
about 1 round.
Another one for the
Ted
ground. I got
really
it.
has
Queen
taken
high.
control of this table.
Started
And
to
he's
set
not
it.
the big.
Early, and he is the front runner. You can't win the race if you don't take the lead.
Yeah, you know, and I think one thing that can't be overemphasized, and that is that psychological advantage to being the chip leader at the table. The fact that whenever you play a pot, you
Perfect game
cannot
so
be the
far.
one that leaves that table at the end of the hand. That just gives you a tremendous sort of a relaxed state.
Raise.
You know that it can't be
Raise.
you
Right.
that gets sent home, and you can just make kind of plays that you can't make when you're on a short stack. So his choices in a hand are much wider than
Nice place.
John D'Agostino, who's on the short stack.
And D'Agostino wins this hand. Not a big one, but he'll take it. Thank you very much.
Excuse me, guys.
You can't throw it through there.
2 red-eye
That was
flights
an
in
editorial
1
statement
day.
from Daniel Negrado, who's
Or
been
is that
yawning
possible?
quite a lot.
I don't know.
1 red-eye and 1 late guy.
Well, we did start this tournament very early today, at least by poker
The
standards,
whip
and
comes out.
some of these guys might be feeling it by now.
Gordon threw away 9-8.
Oh, D'Agostino with a big hand, 2 kings. We'll have to see if
Raise.
Gowan or Negrano wakes up with a
36.
hand. So far, it looks like he's going to steal the blinds. Yeah, Cloney had the 7-6. Well, that's one of those hands you're happy to take the blinds, but it would feel a lot sweeter if you won the blinds with something like 10-9 as opposed to 2 kings. You're always looking for action with a hand like king. Is a lot about timing, and you know that was just a case of bad timing there for John. He picked up the 2 kings. He happens to run into a chip leader that only has a 10-5 offsuit. Daniel's quite likely there to re-raise with a lot of very marginal hands, but he just didn't catch a break there with the 2 kings, and he's going to need some breaks to win this tournament.
We do have some of these people on heart monitors, and you can see his resting heart rate 72.
Oh, sorry,
Peak,
I'm overlay.
199. He's
Yep.
right in the ballpark there, 122.
Raise.
Not exactly
Well,
relaxed.
Yeah, I think those kings got him a little excited there. If we check back in a couple minutes, it'll probably be lower.
Re-raise. $6,600 straight.
Okay.
Cloney making a strong play here with Jack-10. Ted open the action. Jack-7. Cloney re-raised.
Taking a long look at Cloney.
This is a very aggressive play. She obviously read Ted for having a weak hand opening in what we call the cutoff position, the position right next to the button. And she's sending a message to Ted that just because she's on the button doesn't mean that he can take her off the button by making a raise there. This is a very, very strong call by Ted. This is actually pretty shocking with the Jack-7.
Something gonna fly in there.
Huh?
Something's gonna fly in there.
And a 16.
Fly or something. Oh, I do it. I did it.
Well, what is Ted's motivation here? What's
Well, you know, I mean, as I said, Cloney is kind of telling Ted, hey, you can't just raise and steal my button from me. But Ted's also saying, you can't re-raise me and just knock me out of a hand. I mean, you know, poker is all about the long run. And I think they're each sending each other a message that they're not going to be pushovers tonight. And, you know, and that's very important at the poker table.
Check.
Sometimes you don't make the exact right play there, but the message you send makes it right down the road. Check by Gowan. Given that she showed such strength before the flop, it's surprising that she's not continuing to bet here.
she's going to win the hand?
Well, she's going to win the hand if Ted doesn't bluff her out here.
True.
Oh, no, he has checked.
Check.
And she
Jack
checks.
high.
I
Jack high.
believe
No!
she's assuming that she's going to lose this hand, but she's going to
Are you
win with
kidding me?
Jack 10 high. This is a
Y'all
pretty
are
amazing
playing
hand.
good, as Mike Mattisell would say. Y'all are playing some good poker over here.
Daniel's certainly getting his 2 cents in there. That was a very odd hand. Pot goes to Cloney, $16,200.
I had queen high. If I knew, if I knew I had him
Don't
that
think she
dominated.
expected it.
No, not at all. She pretty much, once Ted called that re-raise, she assumed he had a very strong hand, and she just wasn't going to invest anymore to try and steal this pot. This is like found money. She was assuming that she had given up that pot, and she's stacking up the chips.
The short stack's still hanging around here.
Raise.
Ted continuing to play it very aggressively. Jack deuce he raises with.
I really don't know if I've ever folded this many hands in a row, like ever.
I'm not sure Negreanu's
What,
played a hand.
at least
has he?
10.
Yeah, I don't think he has voluntarily put a chip in the pot. He's certainly been in there in his blinds. But and here's Ted picking up the blinds with a Jack deuce. He is not slowing down, even though he lost that last one.
Well, all of a sudden, Ted 4 is starting to make a little bit.
Here when you can see the whole cards, Barry. So you know, this should be interesting.
Not you.
Oh.
Interesting play. It's been the short stacks, really, that have been winning the money here early in this competition. Remember, the chip count carried over from this morning. We started with 23.
Yep, certainly John has already doubled up and then some. Ted, who was, I believe, in the 5th place position going in, has certainly done some damage. And our chip leader hasn't even played a pot, playing very much the opposite of what we were expecting.
Check it. 3,000.
Ted continuing his aggressive play, betting second pair, which is the best hand right now. And this puts Christie in a tough spot. I mean, if Ted does have an ace, he can continue betting this on 4th Street and 5th Street. She's going to get out of the way. I think D'Agostino's going to throw it away. Another pot to Ted.
Yeah, but he's playing very solid right now.
Down. The bottom stacks are moving up, and
I'm so antsy to
it's
play.
really anyone's game right now.
Okay,
Aces,
I'll play.
ace, king suited. Small pair Negreanu.
And Daniel opens up for a small raise. Gordon's going to call him with the ace-5 of clubs. We know that Christie's will be making a pretty large re-raise here on the button.
Don't give her a number. Don't say raise the pot. She might raise less. Let's, you know, be fair.
Back around to Daniels. I mean, a tough spot with a small pair like a pair of 6s. Usually you're either in like a 50-50 raise situation like this situation against Christie, or you're a big, big underdog against a larger pair.
But do you get to that point where he really hasn't been able to play a hand? Now you got a small pair, you say, I'm just going to go for it.
I think he might be getting a little frustrated. Also, you know, there's a reasonable amount of play here after the flop. So if he were to flop a 6, and particularly if it came an ace or a king, he might have won a big pot there. But Daniel does throw his hand away. Gordon has a pretty easy laydown. Christie's going to win a nice pot.
I just felt like you were going to hit the flop.
You did?
I really did. I just felt like she's going to hit the flop.
Christie gazes,
Or you
who
wouldn't-
won
you
the
wouldn't
first
know
2
how to play
pots
it.
here. Poker Phenomenon is a documentary.
And we did just have another example. Our 2 chip leaders moving down, and some of the stacks from below starting to build up again. These chip counts keep getting closer. Daniel limps in with king 10. Coming around to D'Agostino on the button with ace 10. We know he's probably going to at least call. And Ted's sitting there with a small pair. He limps in himself. Ted limps from the small blind. We're going to have a multi-way pot.
All right,
4 ways.
This will be fun.
Yummy, yummy.
Daniel likes to see flops.
I want paper. I should have won paper.
Ace deuce 7.
Wow.
Because of that
Well,
competition.
Ted has flopped 3 7s. D'Agostino has top pair with a 10 kicker. And being on the short stack, he could be in big trouble here. And these pot odds have been updated. Second there, they were showing the wrong odds. He bets 3,500. Ted just calls, playing his hand slow. Well, this is an interesting card. This actually gives John D'Agostino some outs. He was actually drawing dead to make the best hand on 4th Street, but now he has a flush draw. Ted is not going to give him a free card. He's just bet 5,000. John's trying to add it all up. This is a rather confusing play. It's very hard to put Ted on a logical hand here.
Incidentally, those odds that you're watching account for all cards that have been played.
John has just called 5,000.
Didn't get it.
Didn't get his help.
It's like,
A lot of choices here for Ted. But probably a lead out. Correct play. Looks like he's betting about 7,000. This would be a very hard hand for John D'Agostino to get away from. Particularly with a player like Ted, it could have anything. If he calls here, this would be a big blow to his stack. He calls and he hates it. And there it is.
He's
3
right.
7s. Yeah, that's a tough hand. He's probably back to about where he started the day. And when you're the short stack, you just can't afford bad luck.
And that was cost. Ted Forrest is the guy with the hot hand right at the moment. Has been.
Daniel in the blinds. Ted has the button. As he stacks up that last pot. That was a
It really
nice pot. I
bothers me.
believe
I'm
that
in
was
a
the
real
largest
bad
pot of the
spot
evening
right
so
in the
far.
middle like that.
D'Agostino looks like he's still thinking about that.
Yeah, he's probably thinking about how he could have gotten away from it, but I don't really see what he could have done differently that hand. Ted raises the button with the jack 6. Another aggressive play. Daniel lays down.
Forrest was talking to us about being a counterpuncher. Well, he's anything but.
Well, I think what he was talking about there, Barry, is how, you know, most top players try not to have too much of a game plan when they go to a table. They're going to sit there and they're going to try and get a feel for the table. And I think Ted is sensing a lot of tentative play, and he's decided, as any good counterpuncher will do, he's decided this is a spot where he can be aggressive at least early and take advantage of some of this tentative play, and it's certainly working out for him. It certainly helps to flop 3 sevens every once in a while, though, also. D'Agostino is going to be opening here with ace-jack suited, and Daniel has ace-queen. Expecting a re-raise from Daniel. This may be a spot where D'Agostino is going to get it all in.
How much you got, sir?
We may see him racing here as a large underdog with a short stack.
Well, he dodged a bullet in a similar situation not long
You didn't
ago.
look it, right? 3.
It's about 15.
Yeah, yeah. Okay. There's the 3. And
Definitely nothing about D'Agostino's stack is going to scare
But
Daniel.
9 more
That
in.
ace-queen. If D'Agostino happens to have the ace-queen beat, it's not going to hurt Daniel, so he can raise here with no fear. And he's putting D'Agostino in a very tough spot.
I mean, this way you could still see a flop and get away from it if you miss. Right?
What a good guy.
That's so nice of you, Dan.
What a friend's for.
I believe he raised 9,000, which is just about all of D'Agostino's chips.
By the way, Lori, if you're watching, I can't answer my phone because there's no cell phones allowed in the building. Just so you know. I'm not being rude or anything.
Well, there you are. You can't have cell phones when you're playing poker.
Yes, there are no communication devices allowed in Levette.
Security.
We are, I should
He
say,
wants
on a
to.
5-minute delay, so that phone is going to ring
He
for a
must
long
be
time.
suited.
What's that?
Yes, and Daniel is someone who will very often have a cell phone with him at the table. I've seen him text messaging and stuff like that. He's kind of a multitasker at the table, but without his favorite cell phone with him at the table, he's going to have to focus in on the game here.
We go with ace
John is
9.
in a tough spot, does not want to call. He can really sense that he's in bad shape here.
And remember, he made a call that he regretted just a while ago, so he may think about this even more.
This is the tough spot. I don't really see how he can lay it down, but he may. And it would be a really, really good laydown if he could.
Guess I have time for one more fold.
Wow.
You had ace jack. That
Very
was an
nice
awesome
laydown.
laydown,
Yep.
buddy. That was
Ace
nice.
Not sure
Daniel,
you
you're right
can't
about that.
No, I got the queen.
Wow, that's probably a bad laydown.
I showed you the queen. What do you think?
you had king queen?
You know, Daniel's keeping it a mystery, though. I mean, John D'Agostino may be thinking he had a king queen or something there, but actually he has a little more than he started with. It looks like he might even have 25,000.
Okay. Oh, I like it.
Well, nobody looking like a powerhouse here.
Nope, actually this is a ground skinner, and you love that when you're the big blind. You don't even have to look at your cards, and you get to pick up the ante.
She's quietly played pretty effectively, I think, Eddie.
Yeah, she had. She picked up the first.
People that are really in the hunt to win this thing now.
You know, and Ted, you can see from those chips counts that Ted has been the most effective. He's moved himself up from 4th place to 2nd.
Small pair here.
It's opening up for a normal raise.
Looks like Daniel's thinking about doing something with that 8-5.
Yes, and we see Phil Gordon there with the ace-queen offsuit. This is probably a spot where we're going to see a re-raise from
This
Phil.
is the kind of hand that you see Daniel call with a lot that a lot of other pros would have just mucked. He likes those suited connectors.
Yes, and he likes to just call with them and
Right.
see flops. Particularly with a big stack, you can't argue with that strategy.
He's going to raise.
Here's Phil. Looks like he's raising about 15,000.
Too rich for Gazes, too rich for D'Agostino.
Ted's laying down the small pair. I can't see Daniel calling either.
You're right.
And another nice pot for
So much for
Phil
that
Gordon here. And with that pot, he might be very close to the chip lead also now. Had a lot of good results in championship poker.
And he final table 2 no limit events at the World Series, so we can probably expect some good poker from him
That's
because
at
he's
the
in
World
good
Series
form.
this year, so
Yes.
he is in good form. Yes.
You're listening to the voices of Howard Lederer, Annie Duke. I'm Barry Tompkins. We're at Wynn Las Vegas. 6 players started, 6 players still there.
Phil has opened with a raise with 8-5 suited. Ted with his favorite hand so far, 2-7. He's going to call and see a flop.
3-4 king on the flop, 2 spades.
Well, it's an interesting flop. Phil Gordon has flopped a flush draw. Ted still has those pair of 7s, and there's only one overcard.
We'll
So
most
this is
likely see Ted call here, which he does.
5-1.
16,000 in the pot.
Wow.
Wow.
Diamonds, how do you like that?
I think that might be Ted's favorite hand now.
And Ted is just going to lead out.
Looks like he makes a small enough bet that Phil might be getting what he thinks is the right price here.
Right. And Phil has picked up a gut shot straight draw. If a 6 were to come, he would have the nut straight, 8 high straight, and he still has his flush draw.
So he has 12 cards to win, but we know Ted has the 7 of spades, so he has 11 cards to win. And he calls.
Not very happy that Ted has taken the lead away from him. Now he kind of knows he has to hit to win this pot.
Good
And he
pot.
misses.
23,400, queen of clubs. So Forrest is sitting pretty.
15,000.
Ted's going to try and value bet here, but we know that Phil's going to have to fold. Unless he does something silly here and tries to get Ted to lay a hand down.
You know, I like Ted's bet on the turn here because he made a small enough bet that Phil really was forced to call if he had a draw, but he still wasn't getting the right mathematical price to call.
We are seeing Phil getting out some raising chips. We know that this would end in disaster. And I called it silly. I mean, of course, we know that it would be silly because there's no way that Ted is going to lay down the 3 7s. But this actually is the kind of play that players will make. And it very often works here on the end. A nice strong raise on the end. We just know that if he does try it here, it's not going to work.
Taking a long look at it, though.
Well, he's trying to figure out what Ted could have where he would check call on the flop and then bet out on the turn in the river. He's trying to figure the hand out.
Well, from
And
long.
he figured it out and folded. Good for Phil. He avoided some huge disaster there.
Yeah, he had 50,000 cleaned out there.
And he's
That would be 50,000 more in Ted's stack.
I would have to think.
Lost 50,000 extra chips there on a read where he was kind of right. I mean, Ted didn't have a big hand until he made the 3 7s on 4th Street. But the fact that he didn't raise there, he's still in the tournament with a nice stack. It's all folded around to Ted in the small blind. He's limped in with Queen 6. 20's in the big blind with 10
So
8
most
suited.
likely check here.
Deuce 4 jack on the flop.
No, neither player's
Check,
flopped
and I
anything. We'll
check.
have to see who's going to go after this pot.
Check.
Still nothing for either player. Check, check.
Check.
check. Head high.
Check, check. This is the second time these two have played a check down hand all the way to the river with a surprise winner, where